Good morning, guys. In the last session, we discussed about what is the importance of the real-time tools for the Java developer and what are the tools that we should learn and what is the purpose of each tool. We identified that there are 20 plus tools available which are very important for every Java developer to complete the project development process in the real time. So those are Jira, which is used for project management for bug reporting, GitHub and Bitbucket, which are used to manage the source code of the project, Maven and Gradle, they are called as build tools, Log4j and SLF4j, they are called as logging tools and they are used to store log messages of the application. ELK and Splunk, they are used for log monitoring to read the log messages. JUnit plus mocking, they are used for unit testing. And Kafka, which is called as message broker. Kafka is available, which is called as a message broker, which is used to process real-time data feeds. Next one, Redis, that is used for distributed cache in our application. Okay, Postman, which is used to test our backend APIs. Swagger, which is used to generate API documentation. Docker, which is used for containerization. Kubernetes, which is used for orchestration. Jenkins, which is used for CI/CD. For continuous integration and continuous deployment, we will use a tool called Jenkins. Next one, SonarQube, which is used for code quality checking. Okay, then JMeter, which is used for performance testing. Then Jacoco, used for code coverage of our application. Nexus and JFrog, they are used to maintain artifacts of our application. So our project jar files or war files we are going to store by using Nexus or JFrog. All these tools we are going to use as part of our project development process. In the real time, all these tools are very important. Now, so let's understand today. We are going to start with Agile with Jira. This is the first tool that we are going to learn from our real-time tools concept. Agile with Jira. So before going to understand Jira, we need to understand Agile methodology. To understand Agile methodology, we need to understand software development lifecycle. Agile is one of the SDLC model. So we know already what is SDLC. Agile is one of the SDLC model. What is the meaning of SDLC? SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle. So how we are going to develop one project and how we will deliver that project to the customer. The complete process is called as SDLC. SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle, and this SDLC represents the project development process. Okay, so there are several phases available in the SDLC. So what are the phases available in the SDLC? How people are going to develop a project in the real time? The first phase is requirements gathering. We are going to collect the requirements from the client. Client wants to do some business. For that business, client requires one software project. So what is the client business? What is client requirement? We are going to gather requirements from the client. Once we gather requirements from the client, we are going to analyze those requirements. So whatever client is expecting, can we do that or not? Is it possible to do that or not? Okay, requirements gathering, requirements analysis, then designing. What kind of database tables are required? What is the architecture we need to follow? Okay, all the designing part will be available. Once the designing is completed, then we will go for the development part. Coding part will be available. After coding, then testing will be there for our application. Testing, developers will do some kind of testing, then separated testing team also will be available to test our application. Then after this, deployment process will be available. Code should be deployed into a server. So to deploy the code, Linux machines will be used. Maybe on-premises Linux machines or cloud Linux machines will be used in order to deploy our application. Once the deployment is completed, then deliver the project to the client, then provide support for the project. Maintenance will be available for the project. So these are called as SDLC method or SDLC phases. SDLC means software development life cycle. The SDLC represents the process of project development, how we will start the project and how we will complete the project, the life cycle. If you see human life cycle, birth to death is our human life cycle. Okay, similarly for the project life cycle, these are the phases available. So in our human life cycle, birth will be available, then school will be available, then college will be available, then job will be available, then marriage, then kids, then retirement, then death. So this is the human life cycle. So similarly for the software project also, the life cycle will be available. The life cycle of the software project is called as SDLC process, software development life cycle. This SDLC will represent the process of the project development. It represents the process of project development from starting to ending. Okay, how we are going to start, how we are going to end, that will be represented by SDLC. SDLC contains several phases: requirements gathering, requirements analysis, designing will be there, development will be there, testing will be there, okay, deployment will be there, and support also will be there. Okay, then there are several methodologies available in the SDLC phases we have seen. There are several methodologies available in the SDLC. The first one, the first SDLC methodology that we can see, waterfall model. The current SDLC methodology in the market is agile methodology. Okay, so SDLC we understood. Now we are going to talk about SDLC methodologies. In the SDLC, there are several methodologies available, like waterfall methodology available, agile methodology is available. Waterfall methodology, which is outdated methodology. Agile methodology, currently this is trending in the market. Nowadays, most of the companies are developing the project by using agile methodology only. Earlier, people used to develop the project by using waterfall model. Now currently people are developing the projects by using agile model. Okay, now let's talk about what is waterfall model. Okay, I hope in your BTech only you might learn about what is waterfall model. What is a waterfall model? Can anybody explain about waterfall model?
No,
Yeah.
but the name suggests waterfall. If once you started, you can't go back.
What is the meaning of waterfall model, guys?
It is the sequence of process which used to follow is per development process.
Sequence of process which is used to follow. Good. Anything else?
If a phase ends, we need to start second phase. Without
If a phase ends, we need to start the second phase. Okay.
we were not
It's a
allowed to
one-way
start.
route. We cannot go back once one phase
Yeah.
is completed. We
Yeah.
cannot go back.
We cannot go back until we cannot go back, and we need to go only in the forward direction.
If there is any requirement change, then we need to reprioritize entire project to develop the
Yeah.
same.
If any requirement change, we need to do the reprocess. We need to do for everything. If any requirement change, we need to reiterate the complete process. Very good. Then anything else?
Client involvement will not be there. Client will
Client
interact in the
involvement
last.
is very less when you go for waterfall model. Correct.
And also very high time consuming for
Time consuming process. Yes.
change to change. It would be it might take even sometime years also.
Good.
Sir, if you are fixing a bug in a specific module, that different separate model and like the totally infrastructure will be affected.
Yeah, right. So coming to SDLC, we understood software development life cycle that represents the process of the project development from starting to ending. Several phases will be available in the SDLC: requirements gathering, analysis, design, development, test, deployment, and support will be available. Okay. Then there are several methodologies available in the SDLC, like waterfall methodology available, agile methodology available. Waterfall methodology is outdated methodology in the market. Current trend in the market is agile methodology. So when we talk about waterfall methodology, we will call waterfall methodology as a linear methodology, or we can call it as a sequential methodology. Waterfall methodology is called as linear methodology, or we can call it as a sequential methodology. That means it is top down approach. So everything we are going to do from starting to ending. So we are going to follow a sequence process. Everything we are going to follow as a sequence process, as you see in the diagram. So when you go for a waterfall, it is top down approach. So after one stage is completed, then only we can proceed for the next stage when we go for this waterfall model. So first you collect the requirements, then once the requirements collection completed, then only you go for the designing. Once the design is completed, then only you go for the development. After development completed, then only you go for the testing. After testing, then you go for deployment. After deployment, then you go for maintenance. So it is top to bottom approach. It is a linear process, or it is a sequence process. So when we are in the development phase, you can't change the requirement. So when we are going for waterfall model, the requirements are fixed and the budget is also fixed. Okay, so work will be completed step by step in the waterfall model. Waterfall model is called as a linear model, or we can call it as a sequential model. In the waterfall model, the work completion will happen step by step. Okay, so here after one stage is completed, then only we will move to the next stage in the waterfall model. After one stage got completed, then only we will go to the next stage. And this waterfall model supports only forward direction. The waterfall model will support only forward direction. So you can go from starting to ending. So from the middle, you cannot go to the previous stage. When the project is in the development phase, they cannot change the requirement. Okay, so it supports only forward direction. Requirements are fixed in the waterfall model. Budget is also fixed in the waterfall model. Requirements are fixed in the waterfall model. Budget is also fixed in the waterfall model. And in this model, the biggest drawback, client involvement is very less in the waterfall model. Client will see the project only at the end. Waterfall model is called as linear model, or we can call it as sequential model. So in the waterfall model, work will be completed step by step. After one stage completed, then only we will move to next stage. Okay, and it supports only forward direction. In the waterfall model, requirement is fixed and budget is also fixed. Client involvement is very, very less in the waterfall model, and the client will see the project only at the end in the waterfall model. So if a client is not happy with the project, then client money will be wasted and client time also will be wasted. If a client is not happy with the project, then client money will be wasted and client time also will be wasted. Okay, so if you give the requirements to the company, after 2 years they will deliver your project. You will see your project after 2 years. After 2 years, if you see the delivery, if you are not happy with the delivery, whatever they are delivering to you, you are not happy with that, then your money is wasted, your time is also wasted. So that's why this waterfall methodology is called outdated methodology. Currently in the market, people are not using this waterfall methodology. Waterfall methodology is one of the first methodology that is introduced in the SDLC process. Waterfall methodology is called as sequential methodology, or we can call linear methodology. Here we are going to work on step by step. After one stage is completed, then only we will go for the next stage in the waterfall methodology. And this waterfall methodology will support only in the forward direction. So here requirements are fixed, budget is fixed. So within 2 years, project will be completed. Project budget is 1 CR. That's it. You can't change anything in the middle. If you get some new ideas, if you want to change something in the middle, that is not possible in the waterfall methodology, because everything is pre-planned in the waterfall. So requirements are collected, budget is fixed, estimations are completed, everything is ready, then only we are going for this waterfall model. Okay, then only we will go for waterfall model. Now, so client involvement is very less in the waterfall model. Client will see the project only at the end. Client will see project only at the end. So if a client is not happy with project, then money will be wasted, and time will be wasted. So after 2 years, we are delivering the project to the client. Client is not happy with the delivery, then we cannot do anything. So there are the problems available in the waterfall. So to overcome the problems of the waterfall model, currently industry is using agile model. So to overcome the challenges of the waterfall model in the industry, people are using agile model. So anybody having idea on the agile model? What is the meaning of agile model? Some people are already working in the companies. So can you guys tell me what is the agile model, guys? Can anyone tell me what is agile model?
All the steps involving in parallel manner.
What is the meaning of agile model? Can anyone tell me?
Changes are allowed at any phase of the development process.
Client interaction will be there for every stage of development.
Whatever the drawbacks the waterfall model has, to overcome those drawbacks in STLC process, we implement the agile model, in which we can go back and forth, and then we can continuous integration and continuous delivery the projects to the clients in small pieces or a small portion of it.
Good. Anyone else?
In agile methodology, we are not developing all the functionalities in one application. Rather than we are dividing the functionalities, and we develop multiple REST APIs like that.
Perfect. Guys, see here, to overcome the challenges of the waterfall model. So we discussed that waterfall model is a linear model. Everything is fixed step by step. Client involvement is less. Client will see the project at the end. Those are the challenges in the waterfall model. To overcome all those challenges, guys, we are going to use agile model. To overcome all those challenges, we are going to use agile model. So what are the advantages with the agile model and how we are going to work with this agile model? Agile model is an iterative approach to develop and deliver software applications to the client. Agile model is an iterative approach to develop and deliver software applications to the client. Okay, so we want to develop and we want to deliver software applications to the client. For that, we are going to use agile model. Okay, so in the agile model, planning, development, testing is a continuous process. Okay, whereas in the waterfall model, requirements collection will happen only one time, analysis will happen in one shot, development will happen one shot, testing will happen in one shot. So everything is step by step. After one step is completed, then only we will go for the next step when we go for waterfall model. Whereas when we go for the agile model is an iterative approach to develop and deliver software applications to the client. So when we go for the agile model, the project planning, project development, testing, deployment is a continuous process. And the whole project we are not going to develop in single shot. The project will be divided into multiple sprints, guys. The project will be divided into multiple sprints. So if you see, client has given the 100 requirements. So all the 100 requirements, we are not going to develop in one shot, and we are not going to deliver to the client. Client is having 100 requirements. Out of the 100 requirements, you take the first important requirements. Assume that out of 100, 30 requirements are very important for the client. So then you take the first 30 requirements, then call them as one sprint. Okay, so you plan, you design, you develop, test, deploy, review, and deliver only first 30 requirements and take the feedback from the client. Then go for the next sprint. Here take next 30 requirements. You plan, you develop, test, deliver. Then take the client feedback. So deliveries are very frequent in the agile methodology. Whereas if you go to the waterfall model, project will be delivered only at the end. Client involvement is very less in the waterfall model. Client will see the project only at the end. Whereas when you go for the agile model, every month we will give some delivery to the client. Every month the client will involve in the project. Every month the client involvement will be available. Client feedback will be available. Okay, so instead of giving the complete project in one shot, we are delivering the project part by part, piece by piece. We are delivering the project to the client. So these pieces are called sprints. Instead of developing all the 100 requirements in one shot, we will take first 30 requirements, we will develop, we will test, we will deliver to the client as one sprint. After one sprint is released to the client, client will give one feedback. What is the meaning of sprint? Sprint nothing but set of tasks we are completing and we are delivering to the client. So that is called one sprint. So sprint nothing but a goal. What are the important tasks that we want to complete and we want to deliver to the client is called one sprint. Sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, like this multiple sprints are available. Sprint 1, 2, 3. So in the sprint 1, we are going to take few tasks. We will design, we will plan, we will design, we will develop, we will test, we will deploy, and we will deliver to the client. Then go for the next sprint. Again take few more stories, again take few more tasks, plan them, design them, deliver them, take the client feedback. So here requirements are not fixed. Client can change the requirement at any point of time. Budget is also not fixed here. So based on the client requirement, we need to increase the number of sprints. If a client wants us to change something, then we will add that in the next sprint. If a client is asking to add some new functionalities, we will add in the next sprint. So here, nothing is fixed in the agile methodology. Agile methodology is called as iterative approach to develop and deliver software applications to the client. So in the agile methodology, planning, development, testing, deployment is a continuous process. In the agile methodology, planning, development, testing, deployment is a continuous process. Project functionality is divided into multiple releases or multiple sprints. So example, when I say client has given 100 requirements for us. Client has given 100 requirements for us. Then what I am going to do? Sprint 1. Okay. Sprint 1, we are going to take 30 requirements. 30 requirements we are taking. For those 30 requirements, plan, develop, test, deliver. Okay, so for first 30 requirements, we will follow the SDLC. We will plan this, we will develop, we will test, and we will deliver. So once this sprint 1 is completed, then deliver, take feedback. Take feedback from the client. Then after sprint 1 is completed, then we will go for the next sprint, sprint 2. So in the next sprint, we will take another 30 requirements. We will take the client feedback. In the next sprint, we are going to take another 30 requirements. We will take the client feedback. Then in the next sprint, we are going to take the remaining 10 requirements. We will plan, we will develop, we will test, and we will deliver. So here the project development is iterative approach. Whereas when you go for a waterfall model, it is top to bottom, sequential approach. After one step completed, then only you go for next step in the waterfall model. But when you go for an agile model, the project development process is continuous process, or we can say it is iterative approach. Project development is iterative approach when you go for waterfall model. Client has given 100 requirements, right? So instead of developing all the 100 requirements in one shot, we will divide the project into multiple sprints and we are going to develop and we will deliver. Development, testing, and deployment is a continuous process when you go for agile methodology. So what is the advantage with this one? So here client involvement is very high in the project. For every 1 month, client will see the project. Every 1 month, client will see the project. If a client is not happy, he will ask us to change something. So only 1 month effort will be wasted. But if you go for a waterfall, after delivering the project, if a client is not happy, the complete 2 years effort will be wasted. We spent 2 years to develop the project. After 2 years, we delivered project to the client. Client is not happy with our delivery. Then 2 years time, the money will be wasted. Whereas when you go for the waterfall model, the time waste will be there. Okay, client will not see project in the middle. Client will see only at the end. If a client is not happy with our delivery, money will be wasted, time will be wasted. So to overcome those problems, we are going to deliver the project in multiple parts. Those are called sprints. So for every 1 month, we will give one sprint delivery to the client, and development, testing, deployment is continuous process. Every month, development, testing, delivery. Next month, development, testing, delivery. Next month, development, testing, delivery. So the development, testing, and delivery is a continuous process when you go for agile methodology. And the client feedback is very important in the agile model. And the client involvement is also very high in the agile model. Every month, the client will see what is happening in the project. And when you go for agile methodology, requirements are not fixed and budget is also not fixed. Okay, so client initially has given 100, then later point of time he is asking us to add few more requirements. If the requirements are changing, number of sprints will increase. If the requirements are changing, then the number of sprints are going to increase. Requirements and budget is not fixed when we go for agile methodology. Client feedback is very important in the agile model. Client involvement is very high in the agile model, and requirements and budget is not fixed in the agile model. So what is the advantage? What is the drawback with the waterfall model, and what is the advantage with the agile model? Are you guys able to understand? What is the drawback with the waterfall model, and what is the advantage with the agile model? Are you guys able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what is the drawback with the waterfall and what is the advantage with the agile?
There is a review in agile methodology, sir, so that we can confirm the exact implementation, whatever we have done is correct or not. Based on that, we can change the implementation. But whereas in waterfall, it is not at all possible in the middle of the progressing of the project.
Correct. In the waterfall model, you can't go back and you can't change. Whereas in the agile model, so everything is repetitive process, continuous process in the waterfall model. Okay, so in the current market, people are not using waterfall model, guys. People are using agile model. Both are comes under SDLC models. SDLC stands for software development lifecycle. This SDLC will represent the project development process from starting to ending, and this SDLC contains several phases. So requirements gathering, analysis, design, development, test, deployment, support, these things will be available in the SDLC. So in the SDLC, several methodologies available. So most important, we are talking about the first methodology that came into the SDLC and the current methodology people are following. The first SDLC methodology came into industry is waterfall. The current methodology people are following is agile. Waterfall is linear, sequential process. Everything will go step by step. It is also called as top to bottom approach. After one step is completed, then only we will go for the next step in the waterfall methodology, and it supports only forward direction. In the waterfall methodology, requirement is fixed and budget is also fixed. Client involvement is very less, and the client will see the project only at the end in the waterfall. If a client is not happy with the project, then our money will be wasted, and our time also will be wasted. To overcome the challenges of the waterfall model, the current industry is using agile model nowadays, right? So what is agile? Agile is an iterative approach to develop and deliver software applications to the client. In this agile model, planning, development, testing, deployment is a continuous process. Project functionality will be divided into multiple sprints, or we can say multiple releases. Client has given 100 requirements. Okay, instead of developing all the 100 requirements in one shot, we will divide the 100 requirements into multiple sprints. So we will make first 30 requirements and we will develop and deliver them, right? Then sprint 1, 30 requirements will be available. Sprint 2, 30 requirements. We'll plan, develop, test, deliver, and take the feedback. Client feedback is very important, or we can say very critical in the agile methodology. Client involvement will be very high. Every month, the client will see the project. And in the agile methodology, requirements and budget is not fixed, guys. So when the client is changing the requirement, then number of sprints will increase and the project budget is also increased. At any point of time, client can change the requirements. All right. So before going to get into this one, let's understand agile teams, agile team members who will be involved in the agile methodology, agile team. So when we talk about agile team, the first person in the agile team is called product owner. Okay, so for every agile team, product owner will be available. Who is called as product owner? So the product owner is called delivery head, guys. Product owner is called as delivery head. So this product owner is responsible for client deliverables. That means when we need to deliver a sprint to the client, okay, so what we need to deliver in the sprint, what is the client priority, those things will be given by sprint delivery head, who is called product owner, responsible for client deliverables. What is client has given 100 requirements. Out of these 100 requirements, what are the priority requirements for the client? Which requirements we need to deliver first to the client? That will be identified by product owner. Product owner is responsible for client deliverables. Product owner is responsible for client deliverables. Okay, then after the product owner, another important person in the agile team is called scrum master. So scrum master is responsible to manage the team. So product owner will communicate with the client, will understand client priorities, what client is expecting, what client is thinking about our team, whether a client is happy with our work or not. Everything will be identified by product owner. What we need to deliver, when we need to deliver, what client is expecting, what is the client feedback, everything will be available with the product owner. He is responsible for client deliverables. Then after, scrum master will be available. What is the responsibility of the scrum master? Scrum master is responsible to manage the agile team. So in the agile team, developers will be available, testers will be available. So who has to do which work? So who is going on the leave? Okay, so what is happening in the project? Who is performing good? Who is not performing good? Everything will be managed by scrum master. So product owner is responsible for client deliverables. What client is expecting, when, how many sprints we need to deliver, when to release which sprint, what we need to do in the sprint, what is priority sprint, what is the priority stories in the sprint. Everything will be decided by product owner. Then product owner will assign the task to the scrum master. Hey, scrum master, you need to manage this team. I want these stories to be completed now. I want these tasks to be completed now. So like this, product owner will assign the responsibility to the scrum master. Scrum master is responsible to manage the agile team. Okay, for every project one scrum master, for every team one scrum master will be available. In one project, multiple agile teams can be available. For every agile team, one scrum master will be available. He is responsible to manage the team, like assigning the task, tracking that work tracking. Okay, so assigning the tasks, scrum master is responsible to assign the tasks. assign the tasks, follow up the tasks, follow up the status, follow up the work status, identify the issues in the team, identify issues in team, identify issues in the team. Okay, so all these things will be taken care by Scrum Master in the team. Scrum Master is responsible to manage the Agile team. He is going to manage the stories in the Jira. Okay, manage Jira, assign the tasks to the team assign the tasks in Jira. Okay, follow up the work status with the team, who is working on what. Okay, what is the project status, what is the work status, he's going to follow with the team, identify issues in the team. Okay, so if any help is required for the team, then our go-to guy is Scrum Master in the project. Okay, are you able to understand what is the difference between product owner and Scrum Master?
Yes, sir.
What is the responsibility of the product owner in the Agile team?
He is responsible to take the part of deliverables.
Yes, sir. So we will understand what client is expecting, what we need to deliver, when we need to deliver, will be identified by product owner. Product owner is responsible for client deliverables. Scrum Master is responsible to manage the Agile team. So he is going to manage Jira. He is going to assign the tasks in the Jira. He will follow up the work status with the team. He will identify the issues in the team. Those things will be taken care by Scrum Master. Then next one, the another important person in the project is tech lead. Another important person in the project is tech lead. So tech lead is nothing but, earlier people call as a team lead. Now the team lead concept is not available in the market, guys. So people are calling tech leads. So tech lead is responsible for solving technical challenges in the project. So if anybody facing some issues, if anybody facing some challenges with the technical issues, okay, so if any technical issue, if any help is required technically, then those things will be taken care by tech lead in the team. Tech lead is basically the senior resource who know everything about the project. So who is a senior in the project, who is having the complete knowledge on the project, that person is called as tech lead. Okay, and the next one, the team members will be available. Developers and testers will be available. Those are called as Agile team members. Developers and testers will be available in the team. Those team members, those people, developers plus testers, are called as Agile team members. These Agile team members, if they are facing any issue technically, then they will go to tech lead. If you want to take some leave, suppose your marriage got fixed, you want to take 1 month leave, then you need to inform to the Scrum Master. Okay, what the team has to develop, what the team has to deliver, that will be decided by product owner. And what you are doing, what is the work status, so everything will be taken care by Scrum Master. Okay, in our Agile team, DevOps people will not be available, guys. DevOps team will be separate. One DevOps team will manage multiple projects in the company. For the development, dedicated team will be available. One development team, one testing team will work on one project at a time. But in the industry, one DevOps team will work with multiple projects in the company. So DevOps team will be separate. They are not part of our Agile team. In our Agile team, developers and testers will be available. DevOps people, multiple projects they will manage parallelly. So they will be in the separate team. They are not part of our team. So in the Agile team, product owner will be available, Scrum Master will be available, tech lead will be available, and the team members will be available. Product owner is responsible for client deliverables. Scrum Master is responsible to manage the Agile team. Tech lead is responsible for solving technical challenges facing by the team. Team members, nothing but developers and testers will be available. So how many team members will be available in the Agile team size? Industry standard Agile team size is 7 to 10 only. Okay, a project can contain 50 developers and 30 testers. 80 people can be available, but 80 people will not be available in one Agile team. 80 people will be divided into 10 teams or 8 teams. 8 to 10 teams will be available. In one Agile team, 7 to 10 members only will be available. So in a project, multiple agile teams can be available. One project can have multiple agile teams also. So the industry standard agile team size is 7 to 10 only. The industry standard agile team size is 7 to 10 only. In one project, multiple agile teams can be available. Okay, and every agile team, so a project can have 10 agile teams also. In every agile team, one tech lead and one scrum master will be available, and for all of them, one product owner will be available. So every agile team will have one tech lead and one scrum master. So agile team size is 7 to 10 only. Okay, not more than that. Are you guys able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Product owner, scrum master, tech lead, team members, and one project can have multiple agile teams also. Every agile team will have one tech lead and one scrum master. Sir, then what about project manager and team lead? Team lead concept is not there, guys. So people are calling tech leads now. Project manager also will be available. High level management will be taken care by project manager. Okay, so main every day we are going to interact with the tech lead and scrum master in the project. So if any big issue, then you need to talk to your project manager. So you can't see your project manager every day. Okay, every day you are going to have meetings with the scrum master and the tech leads and your team members. That's it. Every day you are going to have the meetings with your scrum master, your tech lead and your team members. Project manager will be there, but every day he will not come and meet you. Project manager, high level management, he will track what is happening in the project. Okay, project manager will interact with the product owner and scrum master. Project manager will check high level what's happening in the project, what is the new things are coming, what are the changes, project development is happening as expected or not. He will track and he will give the updates to the scrum master. He will follow up with the scrum master and he will interact with the product owner. DevOps team will be separate. One DevOps team will manage multiple projects at a time in the company. Developers and testers will be dedicated to one project in the company, but a DevOps team will manage multiple projects at a time. So in the Agile team, developers and testers also will be available. One Agile team size is 7 to 10. One project can have multiple Agile teams also. In every Agile team will have one tech lead and one scrum master. So these kind of people will be involved in our Agile team. Can you please read this one? Who are involved in the Agile team? Tomorrow when you go to the company, you will see these kind of roles in your project. Product owner, scrum master, tech lead, team members will be available. Okay, guys. Is it clear for everyone? Is this clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next one. Let's talk about Agile terminology. So when you are working with the Agile methodology, some terminology that you are going to hear in the Agile methodology. So the first one, in the Agile methodology, the very first thing that we are going to do is backlog grooming. Okay, so there will be a term called backlog grooming in the Agile methodology. Then next one, you can see story. Every day you are going to hear that. So your team member will say that, hey, tomorrow we have backlog grooming. So what is the meaning of that backlog grooming? And your scrum master will ask you, Ashok, what is the status of your story? Okay, this is the terminology that people will follow in the industry. So you need to habituate to this terminology, guys. What is backlog grooming? What is story and story points? And the next one, sprint planning. So your scrum master will send an email. Hi team, tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have sprint planning. So what is the meaning of that sprint planning? So we need to understand all this terminology. Then once the sprint planning is completed, then our sprint will be started. Our sprint will be started. Then next one, Scrum will be available. Scrum will be available. And next, retrospective will be available. So when we are working with agile methodology, you should know all this terminology. So one is backlog grooming, next one story and story points, and next one sprint planning, and sprint will be available, scrum will be available, and retrospective will be available. So all of you read these 6 points. These are very, very, very important. So when you are going to work with agile methodology, they are going to use this terminology in the industry.
Sprint ceremonies.
Yes. Everybody should know about all these things.
No, story is not a fixed name. No, sir.
Sorry?
So the story is not a fixed name, no? Like some places it is being said as a ticket.
Can you come again, sir?
Okay, so I'm saying that the story is not a fixed name, no? Like
Story
some
is
places
not?
it is
Story is
fixed
not?
term, fixed term. Some places it is being said as
Sir,
a
your
ticket
voice is not
also.
clear for me, sir. Your voice is not clear. Can you please type in the chat box what you are trying to ask? Backlog grooming, story points, sprint planning, sprint, scrum, retrospective. Okay, so like this we have agile terminology.
So
Backlog groom.
somewhat use like Epic.
Yes, so Epic set of stories. Epic is like a label, guys. When I create some stories, so those stories related to login functionality, those are called as one Epic. Epic is just labeling. I will show you in the Jira what is Epic, how to create Epic.
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah.
We will be having the client team, right? Is client is same as the client team? Client team is called as a client.
Client team is nothing but the people who are working at the client location. They are called as client team. The people who are working at the client location, they will be called as client team. The onshore team is basically called as a client team, client side team.
The people from the client company are called as the clients.
Sorry, can you come again?
So the employees of the client team, right? Client
Yes.
company.
Yes.
Those people are called as the clients.
Yeah, we can call them client side team. We can call. We can call them as client side team. The employees who are working at the client location or who are belongs to the client office, they are called as client side team or client team.
Okay.
Okay.
So Scrum Master is a kind of like business analyst.
Not business analyst. Scrum Master is just like a managing person. That's it. Some Scrum Masters are not technical people. They are non-technical. They will just manage the team. That's it. Team management.
So we don't have any business analyst in the Agile
Business
team.
analyst, nothing but they will called as functional team. They will be not part of our team. The separate team will be available for them. Functional team. Business analyst people are called as functional team. Okay.
Sir, could you please explain backlog grooming once?
I have not explained, just I have given the points. We will go and discuss now. So are you guys clear with the names, the terminology names that what I have listed here? Just you read the names, that's it. What is this backlog grooming? What is sprint planning? We will understand now. So when we are talking about, when we are working in the Agile project, every day we are going to see these terminologies. Your Scrum Master will send you an email saying that today at 6 p.m. we have backlog grooming. Tomorrow at 7 a.m. we have sprint planning. Hey Ashok, which story you are working on? What is the status of your story? And they will say that today we have Scrum call. and they will say that this weekend we have retrospective. So like this, they will use this terminology. So we need to understand all this terminology because it's very, very important when you are going to work in the agile model. So every day, nowadays, every project is following this agile methodology only. So you need to know this terminology. So the first thing, backlog grooming. So what is the meaning of this backlog grooming? Backlog grooming is basically a meeting, guys. Backlog grooming is basically a team meeting. In that team meeting, we will discuss about pending works available in the project. So client has given the requirements. Product owner told that what all the priority items. Then we will discuss what all the pending things available in our project. So in one meeting, we will discuss all the pending works in the project. That meeting is called backlog grooming. Backlogs nothing but pending. Grooming nothing but identifying, developing, right? So backlog grooming is a meeting in which we will discuss pending works available in the project. Okay, so we are working on the project. In our project, what functionalities are completed, what functionalities are not completed, we are going to discuss. We are going to identify them. Okay, so that backlog grooming is a meeting in which we will discuss pending works available in the project. Backlog grooming is a meeting in which we will discuss pending works in the project. So all the team members. So as I said that Scrum Master, tech lead, team members, product owner may or may not join. Sometimes product owner also will join for the meetings, but every time for every meeting, product owner will not join because he will have his own priorities, his busy schedule will be there, his meetings will be available. So generally, our Scrum Master, our team members, our tech leads will join for every meeting. So there will be a meeting in the project which is called backlog grooming. How we are having a Zoom meeting now? People are there from different states, different countries. I'm sitting in Hyderabad and I am conducting one meeting. I have given one Zoom link for you. With that Zoom link, you join for the meeting. I'm sharing my screen. I'm speaking. I'm writing. I'm taking a session now. So in the same manner, once you go for the company, so Teams meeting will be available. Some companies are using Zoom only. Some companies are using Teams. Some companies are using Skype Business. Different softwares will be available to conduct the meetings in the corporate. So most of the companies are using Microsoft Teams software for the meetings. So one meeting will be conducted in the team. That meeting is used to discuss all the pending works available in the project. That meeting is called as backlog grooming meeting. That meeting is called as backlog grooming meeting. So in the backlog grooming meeting, we will discuss the pending works, right? For every pending work, we will create one story in the Jira. So every story nothing but a task. So in the backlog grooming meeting, we will identify pending works in the project. For every pending work, one story will be created in the Jira. So all team members can create stories in Jira. So you will get the Jira license access. You will get the Jira access once you joined in the project. So in the backlog grooming, what all the pending items available? For all the pending items, we are going to create some stories in the Jira. So who can create the story? Every team member will have the permission. So you can create the story in the backlog. Backlog story is nothing but pending stories only. And whenever we create a story, for every story, we will assign some story points. Okay, story points nothing but the duration, how much time it will take to complete the story. For every story, we will assign the story points. Story points represents the duration to complete the story. So that story will be completed in 1 day, or it needs 2 days of time to complete. So you need to understand effort estimation. So when you say that in our project, login functionality is pending. So login functionality development is one story. How much time it will take to complete that login functionality development? So you need to identify and you need to assign the story points for that. So first backlog grooming meeting will happen. In that backlog grooming meeting, we will discuss about pending works available in the project. And for every pending work in the project, suppose our project exception handling is pending. So that is one pending task. So for the exception handling, one story will be created. Story nothing but a task. Backlog grooming is a meeting in which we will discuss pending works in the project. For every pending work, one story will be created in the Jira. All team members can create the stories in the Jira. Everybody will have the permission to create the stories in the Jira in the backlog. Backlog nothing but pending. And whenever you create a story, you need to assign the story points. So what is the meaning of story points? Story points will represent the duration to complete the story. So how many days it will take? For example, the story is taking 1 day time. So in my project, if the story requires 1 day, 8 hours of time, then we will give 3 points for that story. This is my project definition. If the story requires 2 days, you need 2 days to complete the story, then we are giving 5 points for that. If the story is taking 3 days of time, then we are giving 8 points. In some other companies, 1 day means 1 point, 2 days means 2 points, 3 days means 3 points, like that. But in my project, the story definition, 1 day, if you need 1 day to complete the story, then we will assign 3 points for that. If the story is taking 2 days of time, then we will assign 5 points for that. If the story is taking 3 days to complete, 8 points. If story is taking more than 3 days, then divide into 2 stories. So don't create any story with more than 8 points. That is the rule in our project. If story requires more than 3 days, story requires 5 days, don't create as one story. You create them as 2 stories. Okay, so like this, whenever we identify a pending work, for that you need to create one story in the Jira. Jira is called as project management software. For every story, we will assign story points. The story points represents the duration to complete the story. If you need 1 day time to complete that story, if you need 1 day time to complete the story, then we will give 3 points for that. If you need 2 days of time to complete the story, then we will give 5 points for that. If you need 3 days of time to complete, we are giving 8 points, guys. So company to company, the points may change. In some other companies, 1 day means they will give 5 points, 2 days means they will give 8 points, 3 days means they will give 10 points. So it depends on the project. It depends on the project. The story points, the definition can change. Here I'm giving the definition of my company. So in my company, 1 day means 3 points, 2 days means 5 points, 3 days means 8 points. So not more than 3 days. If that task requires 1 week of time to complete, then don't create as one story. Divide that into 2 or 3 small stories. Don't create the story with 1 week, 10 days, 1 month duration. So always the stories should be short and sweet. Within 3 days, you should be able to complete. If it is not completing within 3 days, if you need more time, then you create them as 2 stories. All right. So what is the meaning of story and story points? Are you clear? Story means a task. Story points will represent the time, the effort that is required, the time that is required to complete that story. Are you guys clear with my point?
Sir, could you please explain grooming, backlog grooming starting with?
Sorry?
Could you please explain initial backlog grooming?
Can you read this statement?
Yeah, that is fine. After that point, I have doubt.
Backlog grooming
How to
basically a
create?
meeting where we will discuss the pending works in the project. What is pending in the project? For every pending work, we will create a story in the Jira. Backlog grooming is basically a meeting where the team members will join for that meeting, and the team members will discuss what is pending in the project, what functionalities are pending in the project. For every pending functionality, one task will be created in the Jira. So login functionality is pending, forget password is pending, unit testing is pending, integration testing is pending, deployment is pending, okay, exception handling is pending, logging is pending, performance testing is pending. So what all the pending things available in the project? For every pending thing, one task will be created in the Jira. The task we are creating in the Jira is called as one story, and for every story, story points will be available. Story points will represent the duration to complete that story. Is this clear?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Next one. Once the story is created, all the stories we are creating in the Jira will go to the backlog. Backlog nothing but pending. So once backlog grooming is completed, then every week backlog grooming meetings will happen, guys. Every week backlog grooming meetings will happen in the project to discuss the pending
One
items in
second.
the project. Once the backlog grooming meeting is completed, one more meeting will be conducted in the project, which is called sprint planning. Okay. So after backlog grooming is completed, team members will create the stories in the Jira. For every story, ID will be generated, story ID will be available, story number will be available, and story points also we are going to assign. Story ID is used for a tracking purpose, and story points will represent duration of that story. So once it is completed in a project, one more meeting will be available for the team. That meeting is called sprint planning meeting. So what is the purpose of this sprint planning meeting? Sprint planning, in that meeting we will discuss about priority stories to complete. In the backlog, there are 100 stories available. 100 stories available in the backlog. So 100 stories we cannot develop at a time. Okay. So what we will do, out of the 100 stories, we are going to identify what are the critical stories, what are the difficult stories, important stories for the client. Those things we are going to identify and we will prioritize them in one meeting. So last week backlog grooming meeting conducted. So all the team members created. There are 1,000 stories in the backlog. All the 1,000 stories we cannot complete at a time. So we need to do some planning and we need to prioritize. Out of 1,000, we need to complete 50 stories first. Okay, out of 1,000, which 50 are important for the client, we are going to identify as part of sprint planning. So sprint planning is a meeting in which we will discuss about priority stories to complete. Okay, so backlog grooming is a meeting. There we will discuss the pending works. For every pending work, we are going to create one story. Okay, so in the backlog, so many stories are available. So out of so many stories in the backlog, which stories are important? First, we need to complete which stories. We are going to identify in one meeting. That meeting is called sprint planning. Sprint planning is a meeting in which we will discuss about priority stories to complete. So what is the sprint duration, guys? So sprint industry standard, the sprint duration is 2 weeks. Okay, 10 working days. In some companies, they will keep it as 3 weeks, 1 month also. But most of the companies will follow sprint duration as 2 weeks. That is the industry standard. That is the industry standard. So sprint planning is a meeting in which we will discuss about our priority stories to complete, and the industry standard for the sprint duration is 2 weeks of time. So what is the sprint? Sprint means as part of the sprint planning, whatever the stories we have prioritized to complete in the given time is called one sprint. Sprint means fixed set of stories targeted to be completed in the sprint duration. Sprint nothing but the fixed set of stories we are targeting to complete in the sprint duration, as we have seen. So for one project, multiple sprints will be available. In one sprint, set of stories we are going to plan, we will design, we will develop, we will test, we will deliver, and we'll take the feedback from the client. So backlog grooming means identify the pending works. Backlog grooming means identify the pending works. For every pending work, you create one story. For every story, assign the story points. Then in the backlog, there are so many stories available. Then conduct one sprint planning. In the sprint planning, we will discuss what all the priority stories to complete. Industry standard for the sprint duration is 2 weeks of time. Sprint means fixed set of stories we are targeting to be completed in the sprint duration of time. Right. So every day Scrum call will be available. When the sprint is going on, every day Scrum call will be available, which is also called as status call. Okay, our project sprint started. Sprint nothing but set of stories we are targeting to complete. So there are 1,000 stories in the backlog. Out of the 1,000 stories we identified, these 50 stories are important. So these 50 stories we are going to deliver as one sprint. Sprint nothing but set of targeted stories. Set of stories that we are targeting to complete is called one sprint. One project can have multiple sprints, sprint 1, 2, 3, like that. And when the sprint is going on, every day Scrum call will be available. During the sprint, every day Scrum call will be there. So what is the meaning of Scrum call? Scrum call is a meeting in which we will discuss Agile team work updates. So what is happening in the team? Who is working on which story? So who is working on which story? What is your story status? Okay, what you are working today? When your work will be completed? Are you facing any challenges to complete your story? Everything we will be discussed in the Scrum call. Okay, so every team member should join in the Scrum call, should give updates to the Scrum master in the Scrum call. So what we will discuss in the Scrum call? So in the Scrum call, every team member should explain what I am doing. Okay, what I am doing. So which story I'm working on? I'm working on particular story number. What I am doing today? What I am doing today? When my story will be completed? What I am doing today? I mean to say story ID. When my story will be completed? What I am doing today? Nothing but story details you need to explain. I'm working on the story number 1, 2, 3, 4. The story is related to unit testing. When my story will be completed? When my story will be completed? Okay. Any challenges I am facing to complete? Any challenges I am facing to complete my story? So these things we are going to discuss in the Scrum call. Scrum call is a meeting in which we will discuss Agile team work updates. What I am doing today, the story details, when my story will be completed, and any challenges I am facing to complete the story. So for example, if I am joining in the Scrum call every day, I will tell like this. My Scrum Master name is Steve, guys. So every team member should give the work updates to the Scrum Master in the Scrum call. Every day, 15 to 20 minutes, the Scrum call will be available. In that Scrum call, every team member should give the work updates to the Scrum Master. Hi, Steve. Today I'm working on the story number 438. This is related to Jenkins pipeline creation. My story will be completed by today. Then after I will take another story. I don't have any challenges to complete my story. That's it. So next day, hi Steve, I'm working on the story number 432. My story is related to unit testing in the project. I'm in middle of that. By tomorrow, my story will be completed. I don't have any issues to complete my story. So like this, we can give your work updates to the Scrum Master. So every day, the Scrum call will be available. In that Scrum call, Scrum Master will join. Scrum Master is responsible to manage the team, right? That Scrum Master will take work updates from every team member. Okay, if you are not able to join any particular day, suppose every day 6 o'clock your Scrum call, today you have some personal work at 6 o'clock, you have doctor appointment, or you are going to your hometown, you have train or you have flight, you are going for your hometown, you have flight, you have time, you don't have time to join for this Scrum call. All right, suppose if you are not able to join the Scrum call, if you are not available to join Scrum call, then send your work updates to the Scrum Master in email. My Scrum call is 6 o'clock, but 6 o'clock I have flight to catch. So I have to leave by 4 o'clock only from office. I have to catch the flight. So then what I will do, before leaving the office, I will send my work updates to the Scrum Master in the email. So it's very important that every day you need to give your work updates to the Scrum Master. If you are not available to join, if you are unable to join Scrum call, then you need to send your work updates to the Scrum Master in the email. Okay, and if you want to take any leave also, then you need to send the email to the Scrum Master only. Any leave that you want, a sick leave or a planned leave, any kind of leave that you want to take, you need to inform to your Scrum Master only. Okay, and next one, in the project, there is a meeting called retrospective. Okay, I hope you got the clarity on all these things. Backlog grooming. Backlog grooming is a meeting where we will discuss about pending works in the project. And in the backlog grooming meeting, team members will create the stories. Story nothing but a task, and everybody in the team, all the team members can create the stories. And once the story is created, for the story we can give some story points also. So story points will represent the duration to complete the story, and sprint planning will be available. Sprint planning nothing but identify the priority stories from the backlog. So in the backlog, so many stories available. From that, which are priority that we'll identify, that is called sprint planning. Once sprint planning is completed, then sprint will start. Once the sprint planning is completed, then sprint will start. Sprint nothing but set of stories that we are targeting to complete. And once the sprint is started, every day Scrum call will be available. Once the sprint is started every day, Scrum call will be available. Scrum nothing but a stand-up call, which is used to get the work updates from the team members. So this Scrum call will be conducted by Scrum Master, and in that Scrum call, everybody should explain about their work status. So what I am doing today, and when my story will be completed, any challenges I'm facing to complete the story, that we need to discuss. Every team member should give updates to the Scrum Master, above updates to the Scrum Master in Scrum call on daily basis. Right. Any particular day, due to some personal emergency, if you are unable to join for the Scrum call, then you need to send your work updates to the Scrum Master in the Scrum call. Then after all these things, there will be a meeting called retrospective meeting. Retrospective meeting will happen monthly once, guys. In my project, sprint is 2 weeks. So in a month, we are going to complete 2 weeks. So every month last Friday, we are having a meeting called retrospective meeting in our project. So retrospective meeting is basically a review meeting, guys. Retro meetings. People will call retro or retrospective. Retro meeting in which Agile team will discuss about previous sprints. So retro is like a review meeting. In the retro meeting, we are going to discuss how our team worked in the last 1 month. So assume that today is 29th, month end almost, right? So today retrospective meeting is available. In the retrospective meeting, we will discuss about last 2 sprints. What went well. So generally, when you go to a new movie, first day when you watch a movie, then you will discuss about the positives in the movie, negatives in the movie. What went well in the movie, what went wrong in the movie. So what is the great thing about the director? What is worst thing about the director in the movie? Actors great thing, actors worst thing. What is comedy timing in the movie? How the fight scenes available? How is hero look? How is heroine look? Okay, what is the storyline? What is the climax? Hero introduction, climax. So we will discuss all those things after 3 hours of 2 hours watching a movie. So similarly, in the company also, every month one retrospective meeting will happen. In that retrospective meeting, we are going to discuss about what went well in the last 2 sprints, what went wrong in the last 2 sprints, any mistakes done by our team, any lessons we have learned, and any team member having any new ideas to improve our project process, to improve our project work. So those things will be discussed in the retrospective meeting. So monthly once retrospective meeting will happen. So in the retrospective meeting, we are going to discuss about below concepts. Retrospective is basically like a review meeting. In that review meeting, we are going to discuss what went well, what went wrong, what are the lessons we have learned, and what are the new ideas that we have in our team. So those things we are going to discuss in our retro meeting. And in my project, retrospective is happening monthly once, guys. So we have sprint 2 weeks duration. So in 1 month, 2 sprints will be completed. After every 2 sprints, one retro meeting will happen. In that meeting, we will discuss about our work in the last 1 month. What went well, what went wrong, any lessons we have learned, any improvements that we need to do, and anybody having any idea. Anybody having any idea on that? Any ideas which will help us to improve the project process, project work, any new thing that we can introduce in the project? So those things we are going to discuss in one meeting. That meeting is called retro meeting. Are you clear with this one? What is retrospective? Are you guys clear with this one? What is retrospective? Scrum calls will happen every day. Backlog grooming, sprint planning will happen weekly once. Backlog grooming, sprint plannings will happen weekly once. Scrum call will happen every day. Retrospective will happen monthly once, guys. Retrospective will happen monthly once. So this is Agile terminology. When you are working with Agile methodology, then we need to know about all this process. Backlog grooming,
Sir, for
story
example,
points, sprint planning, sprint, scrum, retrospective, like this. The terminology will be available. Everybody should know about this terminology. So as we discussed, backlog grooming is a meeting in which we will discuss pending works available in the project. And for every pending work, one story will be created in the Jira. All team members can create the stories in Jira backlog. For every story, we will assign some story points. Story points will represent a duration to complete that story. Sprint planning is a meeting in which we will discuss about priority stories to complete. Industry standard for the duration is 2 weeks of time. Some companies will change it to 3 or 4 weeks also according to their requirement. So what is the meaning of sprint? Sprint means fixed set of stories targeted to be completed in sprint duration. And during the sprint, every day Scrum call will be there. Scrum call is basically a meeting in which we will discuss Agile team work updates. So what I am doing today, when my story will be completed, any challenges we are facing to complete the story, we are going to discuss in the Scrum call. Every team member should give above updates to the Scrum Master in the Scrum call on daily basis. If you are not available to join the Scrum call, then send your work updates to the Scrum Master in the email. If you are not available to join the Scrum, then you need to send your work updates to the Scrum Master in the email. So then what is retrospective? Retrospective is basically a meeting in which Agile team will discuss about previous sprints, what went well, what went wrong, any lessons, any improvements that are there, any new ideas we have, those things we are going to discuss in the retrospective meeting. And in my project, retro is happening for after 2 sprints. So that means monthly once we are having a retrospective. Okay. Then with this knowledge, we need to understand Jira. This complete Agile management, Agile methodology we will implement by using one software. That software is called Jira software. That software is called as Jira software. Okay. So in the tomorrow session, I'm going to explain about what is Jira, how to use Jira to manage our project work. Jira is used for project management and it is also used for bug reporting, guys. So in the tomorrow session, we are going to talk about Jira tool. Good. Thank you. I hope you understood theoretically what is SDLC, what is waterfall model, what are the drawbacks in the waterfall model, what is Agile model, and what are the benefits of Agile model, and who will be involved in the Agile team, what is the purpose of each and every person in the Agile team, and what is the terminology that we are going to follow in the Agile methodology. Tomorrow, we are going to discuss about Jira and we will work with the Jira software in the tomorrow session. And this Jira is very, very important because every day we are going to use Jira in our project. Thank you, guys.